Hello everyone. In today's video we are going to talk about star and its formation. As you all already know that star has their own light and energy. But if what will happen if somebody will ask you how did star get formed? What is the process of formation of these stars? So what will you answer at that time? Right? These are very valid questions, right? So what will happen? So in this video we are just going to find out the answer of this question, how star formed. So let us go ahead. So before going to the formation of the star, let us talk about only stars. Say what are stars? So as you know that these stars has their own light and energy. This is a very simple concept. You must have studied in the junior grades also. So what we will write, have their own energy, as you already know these things, has their own energy and light, right? So if somebody will ask you, okay, this is we also know, can you give me something else? Can you give me something else about stars, something else definition or something more information about the stars? So what will you say, right? So you may say that these stars are celestial bodies. And I think you know the meaning of these celestial bodies. The bodies or the object that is present in the universe or in the space. Not in the universe is not a correct word, but in the space is the good one. So the bodies that is present in the universe is known as celestial bodies. Now if we talk about more about the stars, so what we can write, this star is a member of galaxy, right? This is the member of galaxy. This also we can write. Okay, so now coming back to the next point. So tell me, can you tell me something more about these stars? Something more about this star. So if you will think about this, something more about this star. So as per my information, and you also know that these stars revolve around the galaxy. These stars revolve around the galaxy. So if somebody will ask you, okay, then give something more about this star. So there we can add one more definition or one more point, that state of motion. What we can write? State of motion. Now you may ask, sir, what is the meaning of this state of motion? So there is answer of this question is, there are two different state of motion. You also know this thing. The first one is rotation. Now if I have taken the name, you must have heard this word rotation. And what is the second one? The second one is revolution. The second one is revolution. So stars has their state of motion, and that state of motion is of two types, rotation and revolution. So now there is one question, what is the rotation? Why the stars do the rotation? So the first answer is, what is the rotation? Meaning of the rotation means motion around its own axis. If I am doing motion about my own axis, then that motion is known as rotation around own axis. So this is the rotation. So now if somebody will ask you, then tell me about the revolution. So what you will write, motion around the center. Motion around the center, like earth revolve around the sun. So here what is the center? Sun is the center, right? And if I will tell you that earth rotate around its own axis, so here we use rotate, means rotation. Earth is doing a rotation, motion around their own axis, right? So what we will write in the revolution, motion around the center, and in the rotation part what we will write, motion around own axis. So now the question is, why they do motion around own axis and why they revolve around the center? Again there is one question, and the question is, obviously this is a very good question, so you have to answer according to that. So how will you answer? So first, if I will talk about motion around own axis, so why they do motion around the axis? So the answer will be to maintain their positions. To maintain their position. If they will not rotate around their own axis, so maybe there is a pull of gravitational force occur by the another planets or another celestial bodies. So to maintain their position, they start rotating. To maintain their position, what they do? They start rotating. Now the next question is, then why they revolute around the center? Why they do revolution around the center? Now see, the first thing, to maintain their position is for rotation, and for the revolution part we may say to balance itself. See, both are interconnected, but the statement is different. So to balance itself. So here we have get to know about two things, rotation and revolution, and why these celestial bodies do the rotation and revolution. Rotation to maintain their position, and the revolution to balance itself. So now the question is, if we talk about earth, so if we will talk about earth, so tell me, earth revolve around the, tell me, sun. This basic things we know. Earth revolve around the sun, and stars revolve around the galaxy. But here I have mentioned one very good point, revolution around the center. Can you see this statement, revolution around the center? But here we have used term galaxy. Why? Because stars revolve around the galaxy, but this galaxy is not the center of anything, right? So the stars revolve galaxy center. I know what is the galaxy center. Means center of the galaxy is, do you know the answer? If you know that, very good. If you don't know, let me tell you, the center of the galaxy is black hole. So what, here the very interesting point, the question, many question will come in your mind. Then stars revolve around the galaxy? No. Earth, stars revolve center of the galaxy, and the center of the galaxy is black hole. So these 2 points is the important one. You need to understand and you need to remember also. So here we have earth revolve around the sun, stars revolve around the center of the galaxy, that is black hole. So I think this much you understood very well, that stars have their own energy and light. Stars is celestial bodies. It is a member of a galaxy. There are two states of motion of the stars, rotation and the revolution. With why they do rotation? To maintain their position, and why they do revolution? To balance itself. So I think this much you have understood. Now coming back to the main topic of the today's class, that formation of stars. So instead of writing formation, it will be better to write birth of star. Birth of stars. Now this is the topic of today's lecture, right? So when we talk about birth of a star, so I think if you have seen the video that is already uploaded on the channel, if you have not seen, just go and check out there in the playlist section or video section, you will find there. The topic is Big Bang Theory. I may say Big Bang Theory. So there I have mentioned one, there is a we have discussed very deeply there the Big Bang Theory, and this birth of the star concept arises from there only, from Big Bang Theory. So now what is this? In that section, in the Big Bang Theory, we have discussed about the point, that is the singularity point. This point is a singularity point, as we already discussed this. Now if we talk about this singularity point, due to Big Bang Theory, there is a explosion. What there was? There was a explosion in this singularity point. So tell me, if there is a explosion in this singularity point, what are those substances get exploded? or what are the output of this singularity point? You must be knowing if you have saw that video. The question is, if the singularity point get exploded, what were the formation? Means what was the output after exploding this singularity point? So the when this singularity point exploded, means explosion occurs, the first thing that formed was cosmic radiation. The first thing that formed was cosmic radiation. Now, I think you know the time of this cosmic radiation. That was approximately within 10 to the power minus 32 seconds. Now, within this 10 to the power minus 32 second, there was a formation of cosmic radiation. Right? So, now coming back to the next point. So, now once the cosmic radiation formed, but after that there is a production of different substances also. And what are those different substances? The substances was dust particles. Dust particles. Like if you will break the stone, you will find there is a dust particles. So similarly, there was an explosion of singularity point, and from that singularity point there was a formation of dust particles, and along these dust particles so many gases also evolved. And what are those gases? The main gases were two. The first one was hydrogen. The major one, and the second one was helium. The first one was hydrogen and the helium. And at the last, the third part that was smoke. Smoke means, you will find a cloud of something. You will look like fog or cloud, right? So three things: dust particles, gases, and smoke were formed at that time. And now after that, dust particles, gases, and smoke, all three were present in that space, right? So if you will observe, these all combination of all these three, dust particles plus gases plus smoke, they give one cloud. They form one very big cloud. A very big cloud. I know this cloud is known as, this formation of cloud with the help of dust particles, gases, and smoke, this cloud is known as nebula. This cloud is known as nebula. Nebula. This cloud is known as nebula. So remember this point. If somebody will ask you what is nebula, nebula is just a cloud. Nebula is just a cloud, and the cloud is a mixture of dust particles, gas, and smoke formed after the explosion of the singularity point. Okay. Now listen. Now this nebula is also known as with the another name. I know the name of this nebula is called primary nebula. Why it is a primary nebula? Because this is the first nebula that formed just after the explosion of the singularity point. Because this was the first nebula or first cloud of dust particles, gas, and smoke formed after the explosion of the singularity point. Now the question is, there is no any birth of star till yet. So from where these stars came? Now the major part will start. So now what is the major part of this? The major part is this nebula, if there is a dust particles, if there is a gases, if there is a smoke, so tell me, in this nebula, is there a presence of masses or something else? Right? If there is a dust particles, if there is a smoke, if there is a gases, then there must be a presence of mass. There must be a presence of mass. And in the second point, as we know, there is a cloud of gases and salt. You may say gases and salt. Salt is like just a stone, nothing like the test is salty, that's not there. And this cloud has no shape, means these were formed without any shape. So here we don't have to discuss anything. Let us come with the masses topic. So now if we talk about masses, so tell me, if the dust particles, gases and smoke from a cloud, and that cloud is known as nebula. If this nebula has masses, so tell me, is there any force of gravitation? Must be there, right? So if there is a masses, then gravitation must be there. So if there is a gravitation, and as we know that this gravitation is a attractive force, this gravitation is a attractive force. So what will happen? It will start attracting all the gases, dust particles, smoke all together, and it will start attracting all of the nebula that is present at that time, right? So if there is attraction force or attractive force will work, it will start collecting all the dust and gases. It will start all collecting dust plus gases, right? So tell me, if there is a gases, if there is a dust, so will the friction will occur, right? So will the friction will occur, means friction will be very high, right? So if there will be a friction, so there will be a production of heat also, right? If there is a friction, there will be a presence of heat, and if there is a heat, means there is a new nebula that has heat. There is a new nebula that has heat. You can say hot nebula, right? We can say there is a formation of new nebula, but that new nebula has heat, means hot in nature. I know this new nebula that has heat is known as with the new name that is called protostar. That is known as protostar. So here you can see the first time we introduce the word protostar. The first time we have used one word, that is protostar. Here you can see star is mentioned. The first time nebula formed with the heat, right? With the heat means hot nebula formed, and that hot nebula formed is known as protostar. So I think we have understood this much. If you want to take the screenshot for your revision or for the note making, you may take it, right? Pause the video, you take the screenshot. Now this much we understood, that there is a formation of protostar. So now what happens? So what happens when the protostar formed? So again there is one problem. If protostar formed, then tell me, these protos are very big in size. If it's very big in size, it means that it has mass. Again, it has very huge amount of mass. So if it has mass, then again the gravitation will be, tell me, the gravitation will be high, right? See, each and everything is related with each other. The gravitation will be very high. So if there is a more gravitation, the rate of friction increase. So what it will do? The rate of friction, tell me, the rate of friction will also increase. So if there will be a more rate of friction, then heat that produce, that also will be very high. I know after a certain period of time, the nuclear fusion started. Let me tell you once again from the protostar. When the protostar formed, now as we know that this protostar is a nebula, hot nebula, and nebula has the mass, so this mass will be very high, right? Because there is a formation of protostar, so this mass has very high. This mass will create a more gravitation. So if there will be a more gravitation, there will be a more attractive force. So if there will be a more attractive force, there will be a high rate of friction. If there will be a high rate of friction, the more heat will be released. And if there will be a more heat, the temperature will be very high, right? And after certain period of time, or after certain limitation, levitation, what will happen? Because temperature is continuously increasing, so once the one fixed temperature, after passing that fixed temperature or the certain or limited temperature, there will be a process of nuclear fusion, and this nuclear fusion process will started. So if there is a nuclear fusion will started, so as we know, if there will be a nuclear fusion, there will be a production of huge amount of light and energy. There will be a production of huge amount of light and energy, right? Light will be high and energy will also be high, right? So this is all about the first, this is the first lecture in which we have discussed about the formation of the protostar, and after that what we have discussed, the nuclear fusion will started, and how this nuclear fusion will started, that also we have discussed. Now in the tomorrow class, in the next lecture, what we will do, we will try to understand this nuclear fusion, right? First we'll discuss what is the nuclear fusion. I will tell you something about delta E equal to mc square, right? Delta E equal to mc square, how energy gets converted into mass, or how mass get converted into energy. So this concept will study in the lectures 2. So I think this much is enough for today, and I hope you understood this much very very well. So thank you for joining the class, and thank you for your precious time that you have given and for given to me. So all of you, thank you so much. Tata, bye bye, and take care.